All right. Hello and welcome to the Fearless Women Summit interviews with one of my very first speakers who scheduled an interview, Kristi Broom. Welcome, Kristi.
Thank you, Jen. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah. Well, your talk really caught my eye when I heard that you were selected to speak on my stage here. So before
Mhm.
I'll tell a little bit more about why I'm hosting the Fearless Women Summit in just a moment. But first, tell me a little bit about your talk.
Yes. And so my talk is titled Inviting Allies to Join to Close the Gender Divide, I think is the official title. But it's really about inviting male allies to the fight that we women are under to gain equity, to gain parity in the workplace, in the world, in our lives. And so I have been doing research. I'm writing a book about closing the gender divide by inviting male allies in. And that's what I'll be speaking about on the stage in August.
I can't wait to hear more about your talk. I know you're kind of getting your content together and submitting all of that information there, but let's learn more about you. So I heard you're the owner of Lotus Transformation Group, but you're also
Yes.
co-owner of Rising Tide Cooperative. What would you
Yes.
like the viewers to know about those two companies?
Oh, they're both women owned, women led. So, Lotus Transformation Group is my solo practice. So, I am founder and CEO there. And under that brand, I have some clients that I work with who are startups and looking to expand. It's also the brand that I'm using for now to write my book. Um, and Lotus Transformation Group is a purposeful name because it's about transformation as well. That word will come back. But it also combines my focus as a yoga instructor. And so as I continue to build out my business and continue to expand offerings, we're almost a year in. So it's still early days for me at Lotus. Uh, but I believe that there is an opportunity and a market and a need for employees, for workplaces to combine things like mindfulness and movement into their employee wellness offerings. And so Lotus Transformation Group as a consultancy, as we expand and grow, we'll offer that as well. So that's Lotus. Rising Tide Cooperative is a company that I co-founded with Corrine Pagano, and it is also focused on transformation, but transformation really at the intersection of AI and people. And so we help organizations identify and build out their AI strategy as they figure out how to integrate the great benefits and tools that AI and automation offers, combined with the skill sets of their really important and valuable people. And so as they look at org design over the next, 1, 3, 5 years, it's very likely that the org will look different, but people will always matter. And so figuring out how to create the strategy and the vision and how to get there in a world where AI and humans are working alongside one another.
Interesting. I mean, everyone's talking about AI these days, right?
Mhm,
So it kind
mhm.
of feels like not talking about AI is kind of like avoiding the elephant in the room, so to speak. So I love the
Yes.
approach you're
Yeah.
taking with Rising Tide.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're excited about it. We're having great conversations, and really following the companies that are jumping in already. And I think we see a couple of things. So I wrote a post yesterday on LinkedIn talking about the space between fear and free fall, and those are kind of the responses that we are seeing organizations take. So one, the fear based responses, not doing anything yet. Whether they're ignoring it, whether they're just not ready, whether they're kind of stymied by the how do I get started? We see a lot of organizations that are kind of in a fear-based approach. The other side is free fall. And so they are organizations that have jumped in early, but I call it free fall because we see a lot of organizations that don't yet have a strategy. They're just trying a lot of things, and while I am a firm believer in experimentation and I'm a firm believer in pivoting as a result of experimentation, free fall is a little bit too extreme. And so I think the approach that we're recommending is focus, right? So again, experimentation is good, but understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish, what it is that you're trying to do, and whether that experiment fails or succeeds, you're at least getting a step closer to that goal. So knowing what that goal is before you jump in, I think is really kind of foundational to the that we do with Rising Tide.
Yeah, for sure. Having a goal and knowing what that goal is will help you get closer to achieving, closing the gaps and achieving that goal for sure. Now, you mentioned that you're publishing a book soon, but you also have already been published. Tell us more about the book you've already a part of.
I have. So, Jen, this is the first time I'm speaking publicly about that book. And I'll
Oh,
tell you the
okay.
story why. Let's start with the story of why. So, it was in 2022 that book was published. And it is a collaboration book, which means I had the honor of writing a chapter in a book alongside 9 or 10 other women. And I did that, one, because I'm passionate about the topic. It's about women in STEM, changing the landscape of transforming the landscape of science and technology, I believe. So I was passionate about the topic, but I also knew that I was going to write a book someday. And I wanted to learn about the writing process, the editing process, the publishing process. And a collaboration book was really a great way for me to jump in. It was, relatively easy for me to write my chapter. And then the publishing process and the marketing process was handled by the publishing company. So it was a great experience. But it happened at a time when I really wasn't ready to go all in. I knew I was employed at the time. I knew I wasn't going to, use the book as a marketing engine for myself. And then to add on top of it, I had kind of, done it on the down low. I hadn't really, shared with my employer that I was doing this. Didn't need to, and they would have been 100% supportive had I chosen to do that. But for the record, they would have been great. I just wasn't ready to personally. So I didn't talk to them about it. And the date of publication happened to coincide with our company's annual customer conference, which was a huge deal. And I just felt like I couldn't do both. I couldn't publicize both. So I remember going to that or that conference rather, and seeing a lot of my work colleagues and friends and kind of whispering, "Hey, I published a book. Hey, I published a book." And they were like, "What?" We need to tell everybody. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm just a little scared about this. So that was the story. So yes, this is the first time I'm talking about it publicly that, that I did publish that book, and it was an amazing process and experience for all of those reasons. And it's a fantastic book, and people should go buy it because I think my chapter is pretty good too. But there are also some great stories from my co-authors in there as well.
Well, I hope I didn't catch you off guard and out you
Not at
for
all.
sharing this story
No,
publicly, but that's part
no,
of
I
what it
was
is to be
prepared.
fearless, right?
Yes, yes. I was glad you mentioned it in the invite because I think it's about time that I start talking about that book as well. So yes, I'm excited that this is the first time I get to talk about it. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think part of our journey as women, especially, is not being afraid or intimidated or hesitant to share those important milestones in our life. Like for you, it was stepping stone to creating your own book in the future. So it was a good experience for you overall. Excuse me for my throat being a little bit sore today. But I think it's important for us as women to celebrate each other and acknowledge, the amazing milestones that we're already accomplishing, even if we feel a little bit afraid to share it. So I appreciate you, Kristi, for sharing more about that story. And feel free after this to include the link in the comments if you want to.
I
If
would
you
love
don't
to.
want to, that's okay.
Love to. Yes, no, I would love to.
Perfect.
I think you're absolutely right, Jen. I over the past year, I've had this realization because in the past I've been fairly hesitant to shine a spotlight on myself, and I've been fairly hesitant to self promote, so to speak. And I really
Mm.
have this like kind of resistance against that. And it was about a year ago when Ooh, I'll have to post this link as well. There is a YouTube video talking about the dream gap. And it's, 4 and 5 and 6 year old girls talking about how, because there are not role models, enough role models of women who have achieved various levels of, accomplishment in the public eye, these girls aren't able to see themselves, or their dreams are really kind of getting squashed. And then of course all of the other history that happened. So I used to not call myself a CEO of Lotus because again it felt too self-promotional, and then I thought, dang it, some little girl needs to see that women can be CEOs, that women can start their own businesses, that women can be successful, and that we can talk about ourselves and that we can share our accomplishments. And so my own journey of transformation of not wanting to be in the spotlight and not wanting to talk about what it is I have achieved. And it's still difficult for me, but I think of those little girls that need to see the example. And that gives me the courage to, have these types of conversations that feel like it absolutely is self-promotional, but I think of it as self-promotional with a purpose so that we can start to close that dream gap as well.
Oh, I love the talk about the dream gap and self-promotion with a
Mhm,
purpose. That's part of what I
mhm,
work with speaker clients on all the time is they have this fear of promoting, or pitch slapping is a word I use frequently with
mhm,
my clients. They don't want to transition from, I have this amazing education and inspirational story, and I also have a service that happens to help people transform their lives, but I'm hesitant to share that. And it's not necessarily a promotion so much as it's an opportunity for those in the audience who are willing to take them up on that offer. It's not going to be 100% of the people in the room, but we want to be in those rooms where those offers are happening, because when we have the invitation, then we can say yes to it. If we don't hear the
mhm,
invitation, we can't say yes to it. So,
mm,
permission to be heard, permission to share that invitation to that next step with everyone who's watching, but especially for my women on the Fearless Women Summit. So, just to give you a little background on me and why I'm hosting this event,
mhm,
I'm a professional speaker. I have been for over 15 years, but I am not used to being an event organizer because there's a lot of work and there's a lot of logistics. And I'm like, that's not me. That's not what I'm
mm,
all about. I like to just show up, do my thing, and peace out. So this was an opportunity when Charlotte Brown brought it to me. This event has never happened in the Twin Cities. And I said, well,
mhm,
I want this to be an opportunity for women. I want women to get together. And I have lots of speaker clients who would love to be on stage. At least 1/3 of the speakers on the stage are people who know me. And I sent this lead over to them and said, I would love to feature you on my stage. So it's part of supporting my community, but it's also part of recognizing that some of us, especially women, don't have that example in our lives. We aren't connected to those women who are giving themselves permission to share, to show up, to be powerful, to be fearless, and those kinds of things. So that's why I said, yes, Charlotte, I'm on board for this event. And then I got to meet cool people like Kristi, who raised her hand and said, yes, I want to be part of this event as well. So, Kristi, the $1 million question, what does it mean to
yes.
be fearless?
Oh my goodness. It is showing up. It is being proud. It is sharing our accomplishments, sharing our offers, sharing our invitations boldly. Um, that is what it means to be fearless. I have this um, ornament that hangs above my laptop, and it says, by being yourself, you put something beautiful into the world that wasn't there before. And that inspires me when I have these moments of self doubt or nervousness. And looking at that ornament among many other quotes and lyrics and things that inspire me help me to be fearless. And again, self promotion with a purpose, because somebody is watching, somebody needs encouragement to be fearless, and if I can be that person by showing up, by being fearless myself, then it is 100% worth it to me.
And I love that you keep a visual reminder of that in front of you, because I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of symbols. I'm a big fan of visualization. I mean, I used to be a health
Mhm.
coach, so a lot of the mindset work we did had to do with those kinds of symbols that you keep in your environment to kind of trigger a different response, a different action based on those reminders. So make it easy for yourself as much as you can to give
Yes.
yourself the permission, especially if you don't have that role model in your life. But I'd love to learn more, Kristi, about your talk, because again, I mentioned that it really intrigued me, like allies, inviting allies to close the gender gap. Now, there have been
Yes.
some interesting dynamics going on just in general, from the political scene to everything else, to DEI being shut down in a lot of places. So, can you tell
Mhm.
us what it means to be an ally?
Mhm. Yes. So an ally is someone who shows up for another person. In my case, I talk about allyship for women's equity. So our allies are typically men. Shows up for women in the spaces where she is and in the spaces where she's not, for at a personal cost. And I think
Mm,
that's an important component. So there are people who support, and we need that as well. But with allyship, there's a little bit of risk involved. There's a little bit of personal investment or personal cost, where, a man might need to speak up when a woman is not there but should be. Or a man might need to speak up in a room where a woman is not being heard or being interrupted or being ignored. That is a personal cost or a personal investment that an ally takes to say, hey, we really need to bring Kristi into this conversation. Or Jenn was speaking, let's let her finish before you speak. Those are personal, again, investments that allies make that differentiate them from supporters or observers. Again, we need those as well, but allyship is a special investment.
mm. I love that you define that and you distinguish it from being a supporter or being an
Mhm,
observer, because at
mhm,
some point in our lives, we don't always have the time, energy, and capacity to be an ally, to take on some of that risk. If
mhm,
you're watching this and you
mhm.
consider yourself to be an ally to women or female identifying folks, please share this interview, because this talk is something that we need to have more of in the spaces. And
Yes.
if you consider yourself okay with putting yourself a little bit at risk, part of what you can do is you can share this interview. You can come join us. You can invite your friends to come to the Fearless Women Summit, because these are the kinds of conversations we're going to be having in that room. So, Kristi, this is
Yes.
the fun part. What is one thing that people wouldn't know about you based on your social media or what you're putting out there?
Hmm. Goodness, I like to think I post fairly openly now that I post fairly regularly, but what do I not post about? What have I well, so if you started following me recently, I don't post much, or haven't posted recently, that I am a yoga instructor. I'm also a dance fit instructor. So I teach super zen, super active, and everything in between, and I enjoy them both. Um, I also, in my free time, I crochet. It is my mind, kind of when my mind is heavy, um, or there's, jumbled thoughts in there, the physical activity helps me to kind of work through it. So it's a nice activity for me to get away from the laptop, get away from the screen, get away from the phone, and let those thoughts untangle, kind of literally. And I crochet both baby hats and baby blankets. And so I have an Etsy shop, but I also donate. So, it's been a nice hobby for me, also hobby with a purpose as well. That
That's
was a
so
lot, Jen. I
fun.
think I got a threefer in there for you.
I think you did. Yoga,
Yeah.
dance fit. Was it
Yes.
called dance fit?
Dance
Yes.
fit. Yes.
Crochet. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
you volunteer, you
Yes.
donate, you've got an
Yes.
Etsy shop. I mean, is there anything you don't do, Kristi?
Oh, there's a lot that I don't do. There's a lot I don't do. I don't run marathons. I saw your swim, Jen. I don't run. But, you know.
Yeah, there are certain limits to that. I know I used to run, but I haven't run in a long time, for by choice. So for those of you who are watching, you're like, I'm a runner. Totally cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would also like you, if you're watching, especially if you're watching the replay, how would you define allyship? Because this is an important piece to bring to the conversation. And I'm sure Kristi will be able to hang out and look at the comments later on, because this replay is going on and on from our profiles. It's also shared on YouTube. So if you're like, oh, Jenn, I missed the beginning part of this interview, or Kristi, I didn't hear this piece of it, you can watch the entire thing on YouTube, or you can just go back to our profiles and watch it from here. But tell me one thing, Kristi, about your talk, because I know you're in the thick of it right now. You're in the thick of the creation and the delivery and the practice. What is something you're really looking forward to sharing without giving it away in your talk?
Yep. And I'm going to start with just a little add on to your offer that for anybody watching the replay or watching, if you are an ally, or if you've got a story of a great ally, I would love to hear from you, because I am also in the midst of writing my book. It will publish next year. And I'm looking for stories of allyship. I've certainly got enough of my own, or many of my own as well, but I need to hear a variety of voices. So your question, what is one surprising thing? So my thesis and the premise, while I think we all could agree that women bonding together and banding together and supporting one another is a magical thing. I am uplifted every time I'm in a room full of women who have a common purpose and a common goal and want to also create gender equity. So I want to acknowledge that that is just an amazing place to be. I think we all could also agree that allies are important for us to kind of tip the scales. The thesis for the book and the thesis for the talk is actually a historical look at why that is true. So why is it true that in order for us to really win this battle quickly, we need to invite men in? So yeah, that's something that you can learn more about as you join us in the Fearless Women Summit on August 9th, and afterwards as you join me on my journey as I continue to write and then publish my book next year.
Oh, I'm super excited to learn more. And
Yeah.
look in the links below this video in this replay to join us at the event. Tickets start at $47. It's super affordable. I am hosting a special girlfriend bundle. So if you have a couple girlfriends who would like to come and join, you can get 4 tickets for the cost of 3. It's an amazing deal, and it only goes through July 15th. I would love to see you in the room. Now, one thing, Kristi, I wanted to comment on that you just shared is I noticed in the past few years, and maybe these are not popular anymore, but there used to be t-shirts that said the future is female. And those used to rub me the wrong way, because I felt like it was kind of toxic in the sense of, we're not inviting men to have a say in this. We're going to take over and we don't care what they it just felt kind of exclusive to me. And so it rubbed me the wrong way. But I'm just curious, like, did you see those shirts, or did you have a certain reaction to them?
Yes, and I tend to be a bit more mainstream than the ultra kind of feminist movement. But I also think, there's historical precedent for kind of the pendulum swinging so that it can come back to the middle. And I think that is what the intention behind those types of t-shirts, or that, kind of more extreme approach. But I think you're right, Jenn. And I think, what I am advocating for is equity, not overpowering. There is research that talks about it. In fact, you'll hear this in my talk about countries that are led by women, societies that are female dominated, and they do have benefits both for women and men. But it's not that every society should be led by women or dominated by women. I think we need more balance, and I think that is where, in all of these studies about diversity, and the studies that look at women in leadership, it's not because of the exclusivity, it's because of the balance, and the balance of what are typically female characteristics and what are typically male characteristics, and the combination of both of them, that allows these companies, these societies, these countries, in some cases, to be successful.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been kind of one of those things that makes me a little upset is, we're a first world country here in the United States, and we still haven't had female in power, like at least at the president level. I know
Yeah.
plenty of other countries have, female prime ministers and female
Yeah.
presidents or queens or whatever. And so like maybe our time is coming, who knows, maybe it's far in the future, but there is still that hope and that dream that we could have a stronger balance. Like we could have a more equitable balance in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's keep living the dream, folks. But I had one person who asked, and I don't know if this is something you're comfortable sharing, Kristi, but your Etsy shop, would you be willing to share your Etsy shop in the comments?
I would love to. So, Kristi crochets with K's. So my name is Kristi, and then crochet with a K. Kristi crochets.
Kristi Crochets. Check out her Etsy shop.
Yeah.
And where can we connect with you, Kristi? Of course, we can connect with you on LinkedIn, which you are on this event here, but where else can we connect with you? What is the best place to get a hold of you?
Yes. LinkedIn is really a great place to connect. So if we're not already connected, I would love for you to connect with me. And reach out. Feel free to DM. That is a great place. I am on LinkedIn more than their social platform as well. But you can also connect with me at lotustransformationgroup.com. That is my solo practice. I have been posting a lot more recently about risingtidecooperative.com as well. That is the new venture that I am co-founder of. I'm really excited about as we look at the future of AI and people working together. So any of those would be fantastic.
Awesome. Well, don't forget to connect with Kristi. I have found her to be very warm, very humble, and just always willing to engage and support other women in leadership, women who are fearless and doing their thing and finding that balance between promo and, encouraging the next generation. So definitely connect with Kristi. And is there any parting thoughts, Kristi, that you would like to leave us with, or something you're looking forward to at the event for yourself?
Oh my goodness, I am so looking forward to hearing from all the great women at the event. But my parting thought is be fearless. I will share that mantra that I have above my laptop again. It says, by being yourself, you put something beautiful into the world that wasn't there before. So be yourself, be fearless, go make the world a beautiful place.
I couldn't have said it any better, Kristi. Thank you so much for
Mm.
sharing more about you, about the talk, inviting folks to close the gender gap here, inviting allies to close the gender gap. I'm looking forward to you being on stage, but most importantly, I'm looking forward to you um, receiving some of those stories of allyship. So if you watch this and you're like, I have an idea around allyship, or I have a story of what that looked like or could look like, make sure you send it to Kristi. She is writing her book. She might be including your examples and your stories in her book, but feel free to connect and chat with her and just say, hey, it's good to hear you. It's good to see you, because we all feel the need to be seen and heard. So I appreciate you being here, Kristi, this morning. And thank you for
You.
bearing with my sore throat today.
Oh my goodness, it's been my pleasure. And I hope you get some rest with your voice today. Thanks, Jenn.
Thank you. This concludes today's interview, but join us this afternoon. I will be interviewing Vicki Ostendorf, another woman who's fearlessly taking the stage, and she'll share more about her talk. Until then, we'll see you later. Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.